Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Wall of Thorns. All right, this is a 6th level druid spell, correct?
Indeed.
And it makes a big wall of thorns.
A big wall of thorns on a surface. So you can put it on a ceiling, you put it on the floor. It's always going to be 60 feet long, 10 feet high, and 5 feet thick, or a 20-foot diameter circle is 20 feet high and 5 feet thick.
All right, I didn't. I saw that it's on a solid surface. I didn't. It didn't occur to me that it could be walls or ceilings, but yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It notably is not the kind of thing where like you can stick the height like 10 feet on the side and just make a jut 60 feet long. It all has to be on the ground, I believe. So I don't think you can have like a giant thing you can climb with it or whatever. But the vast majority of the time, this is going to be a giant damage spell.
This isn't the sort of thing you want to climb anyway.
Correct. It'd be very painful and very slow if you wanted to.
All right. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
So, like functionally, this is an upcast version of Wall of Fire, right? The difference is Wall of Fire is really thin and this is 5 feet thick. So like people going through a wall of fire can just blitz through it once. This basically just costs you 20 feet of movement to get through if you want to get through it. Which I think honestly is like not that much better. But granted, it's on a different class, right? This is a druid spell. Wall of Fire, I don't believe is a druid spell. So if you're looking for the damaging wall spell, this is that at an appropriate level for what it's supposed to be. Like all of the other giant area of damage effects, this is going to be better if you can move people in and out of it. Conveniently, as a druid, you have Thorn Whip, so that's going to be a lot easier to do conceivably. Only problem is you have to kind of finagle your way into a position where you can whip people towards you and pull them into the wall, which is going to be like on the edges of it and stuff, or it's going to be you pull them next to you and someone shoves them into the wall, some other effects like that. Yeah. For the most part, what this is going to look like is a 20-foot or a big old line that does 78 damage that puts them in between you and them, puts a wall in between you and them, and they're going to take conceivably 14d8 damage for a 6th level slot, which is fine. That's pretty good. If you ever get that effect, you're pretty happy with it because it hits a gigantic area and has a bunch of different modes that are good. So as far as spells go, if you're looking for a damaging option, especially in Druid, this is a good damaging option.
We're on the cusp of talking about a lot of wall spells.
Yes, we are.
So wall spells in general, they're not all damaging. This one is.
Most of them are, surprisingly.
Well, all right. When it comes to wall spells, you're talking about damage with some, and also battlefield control.
Yes.
Which, how do you feel this one fits in there?
So only having to move through 5 feet means this again. It basically costs you 20 feet of movement if you want to get through it. So if your goal is to slow people down, if your goal is to cast this and then move, you do have to force them to, like the creatures that walk through it, should they still decide to brute force their way. And again, they're not flying over it or anything. This isn't that tall, so fly speeds negate this entirely, like most of the walls. But if they have to come through it and they are going to come through to get at you, costing an extra 20 feet of movement normally is going to cost them a dash. That's genuinely pretty good. What's also nice about it is, compared to like Wall of Ice, compared to Wall of Stone, where they can break through it, people that can do like Fireball to get through it, this doesn't get destroyed that way. This doesn't have a way that you can like burn it down or anything to that effect in the actual written text, which is on a lot of the other walls. Like Wall of Ice, you can break through, and it leaves like little cold area that deals damage as you go through it. Wall of Stone is just tends to be a little bit hardier, and they can like plow through it if they want to. There's no way to break it. There's no way to remove the wall outside of dropping the druid's concentration. So once this is there, it will act as a barrier. If you're like gating a doorway, if you're like a castle siege or something, this is a way that you can, for more or less, guarantee things are going to have to spend actions to get through the barrier and to you should you stand far enough back from it. That's pretty good. That's pretty useful. As far as like the wall spells go, this is a 6th level, so it is competing with some better things, if we're going to be entirely honest, right? Conjuration magic is going to be better than this almost always. But again, most things aren't as good as conjuration magic, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm not super high on it. I'm not super high on most of the walls, just because I think we're getting to a stage of the game where fly speeds exist. If you are in a castle siege, I would expect them to be catapulting things over or breaking down your other walls or having other means of interacting with things like that, right? Finding the actual like in the vacuum of white space where we are things run at us and we kill them. This is good. I don't know how many encounters that actually is, though. And I think as you get into the upper tiers, it becomes less and less, and these wall spells fall off quite a bit because of it. And then you're going to have more often find that I cast it as a damaging area of effect, and sometimes get 2 hits off it. And if you ever get 2 hits off of it, you're really happy.
Well, there's also, I mean, there's castle sieges, and there's also, and there's wide open spaces. There's also dungeons. Like your fly speeds aren't going to matter there.
That's true. But oftentimes what this can do is if you get like a 10-foot ceiling or less, this will just fill a corridor. You just be like, all right, we're in a tiny little narrow, we're all squeezing through. Wall of Thorns blocks it entirely, and that cuts off an entrance for a full 10 minutes. And that's useful if you're trying to escape or something. That's not something this spell can't do. Now, granted, Wall of Stones are way at the lower level, and is going to be basically as good because the time it takes to chew through it's going to be enough that you're going to get out. They're going to be lower level spells that do that effect better. It helps that this one is just tacked onto this though.
Well, I prefer that.
A decent damage spell.
I prefer this to a Wall of Stone because the creatures have the option to go through it and take damage rather than like a Wall of Stone, just chip. All right, they're going to be there for a while, but they're not going to take any damage.
Sure, I think again, if you care about the modes, if you care about this doing damage, this is definitely better. If your only objective is to leave, if your only objective is to flee, Wall of Stone's I think definitely better. Because they don't have the option, and not giving them the option is good.
See, I like giving them the option. I want them slowed and taking like massive amounts of pain. And,
I think that's usually better.
Yeah. For me, it's a best of both worlds thing.
Yeah, I think it's fine enough at the battlefield control thing. About as fine as a wall gets. The fact that it can't be destroyed is genuinely helpful. This also will make it so if something has less than 78 worth of hit points, it cannot go through this wall. In fact, you probably killed it when you cast the wall, and none of its friends are going to get through to come kill you afterwards. 60 feet is pretty wide. Now, granted, if you are in all wide open spaces, they can go around it. It's still a fixed wall. You can encircle some things sometimes, so that can be neat. It suffers from a lot of the problems that the wall spells tend to, but in most adventures, in most dungeons, in most situations, you will find a way to use this as a blocking tool, as a defense tool, and as a damage tool. And when it's both, it's good. If it's just damage, it's also still good. If it's just the defensive one, you probably have better options at lower levels.
Yeah, it is kind of high level. Anyway,
yeah, 6 level slots a lot.
Yeah, but it is cool though.
It's a giant wall of thorns. If you can find the weird builds that other people use in concentration for gust of wind and stuff, you can create your own meat grinder. It just is going to require a little more work because you can't really see through it or do anything through it either.
Yeah, I like this one.
It's nifty.
What is there anything else to say about it?
Honestly, despite having as much text as it does, this is a pretty simple spell. It's a gigantic wall of thorns that's functionally indestructible, which is neat. Because it's just a magic effect that exists. There's no way to damage or kill it or whatever. I think it's kind of an oversight. I think it'd be cool if you could light this on fire. Imagine like you casting Produce Flame to light on fire the Wall of Thorns to give it extra damage that just kills it after a couple rounds. I think there could be some really cool ways where in the moment doing some improv, magic is magical and not all rules is written. You could do some nifty stuff to make this particularly fun to use. As written though, it's fine. This is a 3 out of 5. This is a damage spell that does good damage whenever you get to hit twice. I think you're going to often get it to hit twice against the things that you care about hitting twice with it.
All right. I'm going to break away and give it a 4 out of 5.
I think you're being contrarian, but I'm here for it.
No, I'm not. Listen, if I was going to be contrarian, I would have started that a long time ago. No, I just genuinely like this. I think it's really cool. I'm a fan of wall spells in general. I think they're fun. I like that there's so many of them and they do slightly different things.
I love that little quirk of Dungeons and Dragons. Is there's like for some reason there's a billion different walls. And it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Most of them do the same thing, but whatever. It's cool.
And we're going to talk about all of them right
Every
now.
single one.
All right. Well, that was Wall of Thorns. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.